Hey, Jason made a suggestion that I make a video and document some things that most people don't know what's going on with me. I am 1 week tomorrow post explant. And so for those of you that don't know what that means is I had my implants removed. And I've had a fantastic experience. Like, I was really scared going into this because when I had my implants put in 1998, so they were ancient, way too old, should not have been there for so many reasons. But I forgot my point. Anyway, I'm a week, and I know what I was saying. I expected severe pain because when I got the implants, I felt like a truck was parked on my chest and driving back and forth, and I really thought something was wrong. Part of what was going on was, I had under muscle, 300 cc, which isn't that big for implants, but for me, I'm kind of a small frame. That was big, and it was way bigger than what I had asked for. And they go in under the muscle, they cut the muscle, and they shove them way up here. And it's awful. So they were in a lot longer than they should have been for that, partly that reason. Part of it's cost, and part of it is fear. And then there's, that side of vanity, like, what am I gonna look like? What's gonna happen after I'm a lot older? Am I gonna have, like, just flabby stuff or whatever? So how I got to this point, I will try to condense it as much as I can. Things were happening way before this, and I really didn't associate those things. Well, I didn't associate those things at all until some of them still after the explant. I'm discovering all these things and finding out things that were going on with my body that were probably a result of the implant. I did have the McGhan 300 cc textured implants, which I didn't find out until after my explant, that were recalled for a lot of reasons. One, the doctor I had used for the implants was no longer in practice, not locatable. Records were gone. He was ancient when I went there in 1998, so I'm gonna assume he's probably passed away. He was in Oklahoma City. So none of those records could I find, even when I started to try to look. Obviously, I couldn't, look at them and find out what they were. And I had misplaced my registration card. So it was anybody's guess what was in there. So then, go back to, in 2021, the tips of my fingers, the tips of my toes were peeling excessively. And fortunately, I posted it on Facebook. Anybody ever had this? Whatever. What do you think it is? And a friend of mine reached out and said, it's breast implant illness. And I'm like, what does that have to do with my fingers and my toes? And I had to ask her, what's BII? And she told me. And she said, I've added you to a couple groups on Facebook. So I would casually check the group, every now and then and read up or whatever. But I finally, after going through doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor to try to find symptoms of things that got significantly worse from that moment on. I'm sorry, it wasn't 2021, because I went to school to get my naturopathic doctor's license in 2020. So let's just say 2019 was when she sent me the message. Anyway, so I started doing some searches. I went to school to become a naturopathic doctor because all these things were going wrong with me. Like, I had severe joint pain. I had, there was points in time that I could not walk from the car to the porch, and nothing correlated. There was no explanation. Like, I could vacuum a whole house and clean and go out and do my windows and gardening or whatever, and I'd feel fine. And then some other time I might just, I don't know, carry in a bag of groceries and I was in excruciating pain. So I knew it wasn't caused by something that I was doing physically. It was something inside. So I really wanted to find out more about nutrition, about my body, about how to find this thing. I went to endocrinologist. I went to rheumatologist. I went to pretty much any doctor you can think about. I had spent a significant time before going to get my naturopathic doctor's license or certificate to a naturopathic doctor. And because I wanted some natural cures, and that's kind of how all that led to me going to the school. And so I tried every modality out there, acupuncture, just everything, trying to find some sort of natural cure or find what was going on. I completely changed my diet. I completely, eventually completely cut out for a period of time to try to find what was going on: grain, dairy, sugar, and minimalized carbs, and just completely recreated my whole diet. I didn't eat terrible as it was. I don't sit around eating bags of chips. I don't eat a whole lot of processed food. I'm not 100%er. We do go out to eat sometimes. After the surgery, I had Little Debbie cakes, if that tells you anything. So I'm not 100%. I still do things that I know are not good for me. But even then, when I was completely eating clean, cutting out anything that I felt like could be creating this issue, I was still down. And it was like off and on. I didn't tell people. Jason really was about the only one that knew. My mom knew a little bit. I didn't tell my kids. I didn't tell my clients. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want it to affect my business. I didn't want people to be like, well, I don't want to bother her. She's in pain or whatever. So I kept it on the down low. And then one of the other things I had was, and so I went to, a thyroid doctor also, was I developed thyroid issues. Fortunately, I was just at that level where they offered medication, of course, but I didn't go on medication, thank goodness. So I bared down, and I did everything I could to have a clean life, clean diet, figuring out. I didn't do a lot of heavy detoxes. I do the infrared sauna, those kind of things. But I have a lot of herbs and not supplements, but natural food things that I put in, like my coffee, that helps with all kinds of things, circulation, digestion, all that, and I like it. So fortunately, so still nothing was helping. Nothing was helping. And so I went for a consult. I went to Oklahoma City. I'll pass on names if anybody's interested in all these, but And I wasn't impressed with him. He was a nice enough man. Um, they gave me a quote if I would book that day. I'm like, oh, not ready. He told me that I didn't have enough breast tissue to have much left. He didn't think I had much. So he didn't think even a lift was going to help. I mean, there's so many options when you have an explant. So he didn't think a lift was going to help. Let things go. Probably a year goes by, whatever, or longer. I'm still having issues. I'm still doing things. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for another. And I'm reading things on the group, watching people, seeing who people are recommending in the Oklahoma area. And another doctor came up on the recommended list, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll go talk to this one. Well, as it turns out, he's in the same practice, but different doctor, and they charge a consult fee, which I get in a way, but I think in a way is kind of crappy too, because women need to be able to feel like they can go in and ask questions, do whatever without a fee. But I was willing, I think it was $150. I'm like, fine, whatever. I'm willing to pay $150 to go in and talk to him. Well, that $150 would go towards surgery if you book that day. I'm like, okay, no. I still wasn't ready. So I kept on the book. Not the book, the Facebook page. And I come across the name of a doctor in Tulsa. And I love Tulsa. And I love going to Tulsa. And since we live where we live, I mean, it's not that far. Plus, it was on the south side of Tulsa. It's like in a little area called Jinx. I'll give you his name if you want it to. Phenomenal experience. He was $4,000 less than the two in Oklahoma City. Don't tell him that. And so I made the appointment to go in and talk to him. After, I've just been farting around with getting on the group several times. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I'm trying to do things so clean, and here I had these things in my body that, my body doesn't know what to do with, so you can only do so much. So they're booked way out, as you can imagine, because his name is all over the breast implant illness Facebook group. And if you go to a group and you want to get a good group, there's several breast implant illness groups, and I'm on several of them, but Breast Implant Illness by Nicole is the best, in my opinion, and the most informative, and was so much more helpful to me than any of the others. No scammers, no BS or whatever. So I had to make that appointment. I go to the consult, blah, blah, blah. I really like them. I like the staff. It didn't take very long. And we talked about the explant. We talked about a lift, which I had originally been against because I've seen what they do to have a lift, and I didn't want them to have to cut around the nipple and pull it. I'm like, I don't know, that's that extra. But I did ultimately make the decision to do that, and I'm so glad I did. There's a lot of other things you can find out about. I did not do. There's like fat transfer. There's just a lot. So my biggest suggestion is, if you have implants, start doing your homework right now. And you can always get my cell phone and text me. I will answer any questions you have. If it's some part that I know that I had done, because I can't speak on the fat transfer, which I thought about, but I was so scared that it was going to hurt so bad. And already adding the lift in, I was like, I'm not doing anything else. I can do that later if it's absolutely necessary. So when I went for the consult, they're like, do you want to, go ahead and schedule, whatever? I'm like, yeah, I do. So I was that confident in their facility. And the difference in price which shouldn't be important with your health. But I'm like, okay. It's kind of alarming in a way. You're like, okay, is he bad? He has to charge less. Believe me, that is not the case. So when I made the appointment, it was, let's see, I think I went in, this is July, so June, May, I think I went in like March. I don't know, I have to look back on the consultation. Anyway, the appointment was going to be January of 2026 to have my explant. I'm like, all right, put me on the books. That seems so far out, but I'm like, okay, yeah, that'll give me more time to research and do some stuff. So I did. They're like, we can put you on the cancellation list. And so what we do is we call you, and if you want to be bumped up, we'll go ahead and bump you up to that next level. If you don't answer, we go to the next person. Or you can decline and stay where you're at. I'm like, yeah, heck yeah. So but the first one was scheduled for January. They called me and bumped it up to November. And we're getting closer, whatever. And I think they may have called me one other time. But then she calls and she says, so this was about 2 weeks before what would have been for me to come in. She's like, we had a cancellation, which is coming up quickly. No, it was about 10 days away. And she said it's July 21st. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So, because I'm jump first, ask where the parachute is later, want to get things over. So I didn't want to have to wait all that long. Once I finally made the final decision to do it. So, then I start getting everything ready, to go. I went ahead and booked an Airbnb so we would be there the night before. I didn't have to be there till 8:30. Surgery started at 10. But I'm like, that'll give us a chance to go out to eat the night before, blah, blah, blah. And I'm glad that I did, because I booked it for the day after, even though I was going to go home the day of the surgery. It did give us a place to go back to, keep our stuff. Jason could go there while I was in the surgery. He could relax and do all those things, and we could have our dogs, blah, blah, blah. So I go in at 8:30, and they get everything started. Next thing I know, I'm awake-ish. And I do remember her telling me that I was a side sleeper. I'm like, how'd you know that? She's like, you kept trying to roll over as you were waking up, which I'm sure. And I remember going to, I think it was Panera. I think we went to Panera because I wanted broccoli cheese soup, which I very rarely eat, but I wanted that. Got a sandwich, got something to drink. Everything tasted so good. You know how it is after surgery or whatever. Anyway, I'm going to fast forward. So I do have drains. Not that bad. It's a little itchy there. And just the fact that that they're there where the drains, kind of come up underneath on that side. And then, you got to do whatever you got to do with them. The little bulby things. But it's not as bad as what I thought. I'm actually not super, super tender, sore. I stopped taking pain pills the day after the surgery. Like, I think I took one that morning, and then I haven't taken any more. It's that, and I know everybody's different, but God, I was so scared that it was going to feel like it did when I had the other one. I was like, oh. Anyway, I feel great. Everything looks good. I'm very pleased with how they look when I take the compression thing off. I look like I was in my 20s and 30s. Like, probably a B cup, whatever, which is great, which is fine. I'm good with that. Super. I'm so glad to get rid of the big gigantic things. I was tired of sweating under my boobies. Um, and I'm seeing things get better, but I don't trust necessarily that it's just that. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still going to eat a pretty clean diet, except for after I have surgery, I'm kind of go crazy. You don't want the list of prep that I had, which I shouldn't have done right after surgery, but anyway, I'm feeling great. And right now I've had no joint pain, and I have no pain pills, so it's not that. I hope that continues. I think it will. I think the inflammation went down. My digestion is like gold, like it's spot on. Everything is good. Everything's flowing. I feel good. I can breathe. Everybody says, you can take a deep breath. I can, except for when I have this compression bra on, because I feel like it's wheezing me to death. But if you go, it's a difference like you can't explain unless you've been there. So there's that. And I want to briefly go over some of the things that I realized having implants. And now think about that. I had them in 1998, the McGhan 330s, and I did not get them out till 2025. They were probably older than a lot of you that are watching this. So, fortunately, he cuts me open, he takes them out, he gets the capsule. He had a total capsulectomy. He sent me photos. I had no issues. Like, the capsule had just cleanly formed around it. The implant looks great. I didn't have any leakage. I didn't have any rupture. I didn't have any problems with the capsules. I haven't had any problems with the healing at this point. So not everybody's journey is that way, but I feel so lucky because now that I know what implants I had, which was the one that everybody was suing over because people were getting cancer, I'm like, oh my God, I should have these out forever ago. They didn't really give me issues like that. They gave me things that you would never associate with breast implant illness. So look it up, go on the group, look at the list of, one of the biggest things that I had was severe chronic fatigue. Severe to the point that when I hit a brick wall, I had to be at my house and I had to take a 2-hour nap. And that was every day at one point. Like, it was insane. And so far, feel great. Now, I'm taking a nap because they keep saying you need to rest for surgery. And so I'm sleeping fairly well. I would say well. I'm sleeping well. The upright part, when you're like, after you've had surgery, that's annoying for a while. I'm not supposed to be laying on my side yet, but I kind of am already kind of laying a little bit more flat in the bed. 5 days after. Nobody should do that. Follow your doctor's advice. Don't listen to that. But I also know good sleep is important. So now when I'm looking back, I look back at having them in 1998. In 2004, I lost a child, and most people didn't know that either. I took my 3 boys in with me for the appointment to hear the heartbeat for the first time, and there was no heartbeat. And so I was about 16 weeks along. The baby had stopped developing at about 12 weeks. And so that was a really, really hard time in my life. And so they had to go in and they had to actually remove the fetus from my body I had all kinds of issues after that, emotional and physical. And now looking back, I think that the implants actually might have had something to do with that. I developed PCOS, I developed fibroids, I had the most severe periods that I could put a pad on, walk 10 steps, and I got to go back. I mean, it was severe bleeding. It was awful. I tried to keep my parts intact. I had what's called a myectomy, which if someone explains it to you, you're like, oh my God. So they take your uterus out, they put it on your belly, and they cut all these things off, and then they put it back. And you're supposed to be still able to have kids if you want to. That didn't even hurt as bad as having the implants put in. So all those things after and I developed a fibroid. I had fibroids. I had fibroid tumor. I had, I think, 2 the size of a grape, tangerine, cutie, whatever, and 1 about the size of a grapefruit, kind of between there anyway. And so they cut all that off. I think all this came from breast implant illness. And I think that when you look at the consistency of symptoms that women have that have breast implants, I'm not saying all of these things can't happen from other things as well, outside environment, hormones, blah, blah, blah. But consistently, the women who have had BII or believe they have BII, you look down the list of symptoms and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And yeah, I had that, I had that, I had that, I had that, I had that. So sadly, I think that that affected my body more than what I realized. I ended up having to have a hysterectomy a couple of years after the myectomy because it was just too bad. Like, my hormonal cycles were awful. And then I went through a period of time where I wasn't what I felt like in bad health, really, but my weight was just steadily increasing, and there was nothing I could do. I was like, okay, what is going on? And I would try to eat right. I would, do nothing. And then at one point, over a period of 6 months, I had so much inflammation. I went from a decent size to what I consider heavy. It was, I took a trip, and I looked at the difference in about a 6-month period. I took a trip down to South Texas to visit my family, and from this one photo to this photo 6 months later, when Jason and I went out to see a friend, and I look back at photos and my face was this big, and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So all looking back now, I think it was a couple of things. I do think that until I got my diet lined out and figured out what worked for me, I at one point, I don't remember, I said this on here already, yes I did, I cut out grains, dairy, sugar, carbs, and it was hard at first, but once I learned how to eat, it wasn't that bad. Of course, I love farm fresh eggs. We have chickens. That makes it easy. My husband cooks those for me, and so I'd eat an omelet every single day. So I'm fortunate that way. So that's what I did. But we'd add things in, or he adds things in, like sliced mushrooms, tomatoes on the side, black olives. I think it's important to have healthy fats. So an avocado, I eat an avocado almost every day, which I need to write on my list. So I need avocados because I'm fixing to go somewhere. But anyway, I will have pictures on the breast implant illness group. I'm not shy, not modest. So if you're a female and you are if you feel like you need to see like what it looks like from the surgery standpoint, whatever, show you before and afters. I can give you my doctor's name, who I highly, 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 highly recommend. Not just him, everybody in the facility was top notch. It was, you come in feeling like, for the surgery, you come in feeling very comfortable. They have a comfortable atmosphere. They take their time with everything. Nothing's rushed. They will answer any questions that you have. They get you started. And he's obviously a very precision surgeon as well, because I have seen on some other groups before and after photos, and their doctors did not have a steady hand. So I feel very fortunate for that too. But I'm feeling great. Almost a week post-op. Tomorrow is my 1 week checkup, and I go in then a week later, I think, to get the drains up. I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed. Maybe he'll take them out tomorrow, but from what I read on all this stuff, he leaves them in 14 days, period. So we'll see, because I'm at the output level that they say it's required to remove the drains. But, I mean, whatever he feels is best is fine. But I feel great. I'm feeling so thankful that I did this. I have energy. I have gratitude. I don't have anxiety. I don't have chronic fatigue. And the only thing is, I wish I had done it sooner. I do. I wish I wouldn't have had the guts to, or the money, but I wish I'd have had them out at least at the 10-year mark, because they're only supposed to be in about 10 years. But from 1998 to 2008 was the worst year in real estate ever. So I couldn't have afforded it anyway. And then life just happens, and boom, it's like you're almost 30 years with breast implants. You didn't realize they were there 30 years. So that's my basic story. And if you watch, thank you for watching. If you've got questions, let me know. I feel great, and I will be back to work. Well, I am already back to work. So call me if you need to see a house. Bye.